She's a certified yapper, but looks good doing it.
Gabby, I love you.
It must suck being that hot.
What up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Gabby. Hi. Hey. If you're new here, hi. And if you're not new here and you're not yet subscribed, you need to subscribe right now because I don't know what y'all doing. Because if you've been watching me and you're not subscribed yet, why? Like, why? Anyway, we're on the road to 1,000. Thank you, everybody who is subscribed. Thank you, everybody in general who has been watching, who has been giving me suggestions. So today's video, since summer is over, let's react to WWE in the summer of 2008 was awesome. What do I remember from the summer of 2008? Nothing. What this title kind of like just brought me back to, back then, like WWE had some fire ass like pay-per-view theme songs. And I remember like one of the theme songs, Wine Up by Cat DeLuna and Elephant Man. That's like, if y'all don't know Wine Up, Wine Up, Wine Up. If y'all know that song, that was like the summer, what year did it come out? That was the summer song. When did it come out? 2007? Okay, this was a pay-per-view theme. I remember because I was like, oh, I love this song. Okay, Wine Up, pay-per-view, WWE. Which year was it? Was it 2008? It was 2007. Damn. I was close. Okay, what was 2008's? SummerSlam. 2008 pay-per-view theme song. Never mind, some country sounding rock song. Ugh. Nothing against that. Anyway, not my cup of tea. But anyway, okay, so we're gonna get right into the video. I'm gonna eat pizza, eat my food while we watch. In honor of summer being over, in honor of the new season, let's reminisce a little bit.
The summer of 2024 is almost over and the WWE has had a pretty wild summer. From the CM Punk and Drew McIntyre feud to Roman Reigns returning to Cena announcing his retirement plans, the summer of 2024 is definitely going down in the history books. Over the past 20 years of me being a wrestling fan, there have been a lot of memorable summers in the world of wrestling. But I feel like everyone has that one summer though. That one summer where life was good and wrestling for them just happened to be hitting on another level. And that summer for me was the summer of 2008 in the WWE. In the summer of 2008, the WWE produced some of the funnest 4 months of wrestling I have ever seen. From weddings to wrestlers going blind to dream matches to money giveaways, just straight up nonsense and everything in between, the summer of 2008 in the WWE holds a special place in my heart. It has been 16 long years since this magical time, and with another summer coming to an end, I thought, why not go back and relive a magical summer from when I was 9 years old? I thought, why not relive my favorite summer in WWE history? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the summer of 2008 in the WWE and all of its awesomeness. 16 years later, let's get into it. We begin on June 1st, 2008, which just happened to be the night that WWE One Night Stand was held. To this day, this is in my opinion one of the most underrated cards ever, and as someone who was 9 years old at the time, this card was genuinely a 9-year-old's wet dream. See, every single match in this show had a stipulation. Falls Count Anywhere, Singapore Cane match, First Blood match, I Quit match, Stretcher match, my parents fighting over the finances match, Last Man Standing match, and a TLC match as the main event. Yo, when a show had that many stipulation matches, you were kind of obligated to ask your mom at least once to order the show. But nah, this show was awesome. I mean, when you have Jeff Hardy sliding on handrails and jumping off a tractor trailer in the first match, what more do you possibly need? This show set up the summer perfectly and let everyone know off rip that it was going to be a hot summer. On this night, Jeff Hardy went nuts and continued his rise throughout 2008. John Cena had yet to be turned into a cartoon character and was out here making JBL bleed. Triple H and Orton had a little last man standing match for the title where Randy legitimately got injured, and that itself changed the course of the entire summer. Add in a few more extreme matches, it was a great time. But there were two big things that went.
John Morrison. Anytime I see clips of him, I just be thinking like, damn, his ring gear be fire. His look, it just fits him. Like, I just love the ring gear. I love the fur coats that he used to wear. I just love it. Anyway, I just thought about that.
Add in a few more extreme matches, it was a great time. But there were two big things that went down on this show that set in motion the biggest moments of the summer that were ahead of us. First off, on this night, Batista took on Shawn Michaels in a stretcher match. Now I know, that doesn't really sound like a real match, like no way that actually happened. But no, it did, and we didn't know at the time, but this match was a part of the prelude to one of the greatest rivalries ever. See, before One Night Stand, earlier in 2008, Shawn Michaels retired Ric Flair at WrestleMania. This made Ric Flair's good friend Batista very angry at Shawn Michaels, and Batista challenged Shawn Michaels to a match at Backlash. Batista ended up losing that match to Michaels because in the match, HBK faked an injury, caught Batista off guard, and boom, 1, 2, 3. Now in that match at Backlash, Chris Jericho was actually the referee, and once that happened, let's just say Jericho took what he saw very personally. Jericho was offended that his old hero would do that he would stoop to such a low level and do something like fake an injury just for a meaningless win. He couldn't believe it, and the resentment between Jericho and Shawn slowly started building from then on. But going back to One Night Stand, it was the end of the Batista and HBK feud, and in a stretcher match, Batista got his revenge on Shawn and he destroyed him. He literally killed him. And during the match, Jericho actually came out to quote unquote cheer on his hero, but instead he just saw his hero get destroyed. Batista won the match at One Night Stand, Shawn Michaels got clapped, and Jericho was just there disappointed in the man who he once looked up to becoming such a pathetic loser. So the Batista feud was officially over for Shawn, but the Jericho one was just beginning. And the other huge thing that went down in this show was the main event. A year-long rivalry after a WrestleMania main event classic, here they were again. In a TLC match, it was the main event of One Night Stand, the slimy, disgusting Edge taking on The Undertaker for the vacant world title. Edge at this point was basically the devil on SmackDown. He was Satan's greatest soldier. He was running SmackDown at the point, he was hooking up with the general manager Vickie Guerrero, he had his own little gang and everything, and the only person who could save us and stop him was The Undertaker. Not only was this match crazy hype because TLC matches are awesome, they had a crazy stipulation for this one. If Taker lost the match, he was going to be forced to leave the WWE, and as you could probably guess, that being a possibility had every kid stressing. But I was like, nah, no way Taker loses, right? No way he loses to that dumbass Edge and he leaves the company. That's impossible.
One leg.
What a way to start off the summer. Edge was champion again and had Little Pat fighting back tears. Undertaker was banished from the company. Randy Orton was legit injured. John Cena was a savage again. Jeff Hardy was jumping off shit again. And the HBK and Jericho feud was about to explode. And after this, the product got hot. During this summer, every single Monday Night Raw and SmackDown was must-watch TV. Shit, they even had me watching ECW every now and then. Every week, every show just had shit going down. The very next night of Raw after One Night Stand, we got to watch a dream match for the first and last time ever. We get John Cena versus Jeff Hardy in a #1 contenders match in the main event of Raw. Before Rock versus Cena, this was the true once-in-a-lifetime match. I still remember just how massive this match felt to us kiddos at the time. And low-key, when Cena got the win, I was kind of sad. I was really hoping that Jeff would win and get that title shot, but it was fine. His time was coming. Jericho officially turned heel a few weeks after the show after asking HBK to his face, how does Shawn Michaels, one of the greatest performers of all time, turn into such a lying, cheating, pathetic little worm of a man? Jericho taking Shawn and slamming his head into the Jeritron 5000 was a moment. It was surreal. The glass flying everywhere, Jim Ross losing his mind, HBK selling like he just lost an eye, the crowd's reaction to everything. This was a moment that had everyone's jaw on the floor. And instantly, at that very moment, Jericho became the biggest heel in the wrestling world. And this became the hottest wrestling feud we had in a long time. Every week, the feud, the shows, the product just got better and better. Jericho almost murders HBK. They had Flair come back and beef him. They had Triple H stand up for his boy, all while he was still feuding Cena. The product just was so alive at this point. It just felt so fresh. Every feud and program was just cooking. And what made June 2008 even more fun was with all this chaos and everything going on, they still had their annual draft. If you remember my video from a few months ago, this draft was groundbreaking to say the least. During all this chaos, after all this beef, all this stuff is going down, you just casually had Raw staple Triple H go to SmackDown. You had SmackDown's face Batista get drafted to Raw, Jeff Hardy went to SmackDown, Rey Mysterio to Raw, Jim Ross and Cole traded places, and this all happened just days.
If WWE does another brand split, if they still do that, I don't know, but they need to like go back to like this, like have people put on the t-shirts, have people get their reactions, like make it like a big deal again, I guess. Like, come on, y'all. We want to see people get mad when they get drafted to SmackDown.
Night of Champions 2008 comes, and luckily for us, no wrestler killed their family the day before, and it ended up being a pretty solid show. Edge was able to finesse the win over Batista, Cena and Triple H had a great match where Triple H got the 1, 2, 3, and Shawn Michaels with one eye finally returned and helped Kofi Kingston beat Jericho for the IC title. The very next night at Raw, just when June couldn't get more wild, it got more wild. So after the draft and after a few months of wrestlers just appearing everywhere and anywhere, it was time for things to settle down and the brand split to kind of get back into action. And we had this segment where Batista and Edge were in the ring, and Edge was basically saying goodbye to Batista as he was now a Raw wrestler and Edge was going to go back to SmackDown. So Batista says goodbye the only way he knows how, and that's with a Batista bomb. And with Edge laying there slowly getting up and Batista walking away, CM Punk's music plays. Young CM Punk, who was Mr. Money in the Bank at the time, fresh out of ECW, fresh out of jail, out on bail, pulls up, passes by Batista, and with referee in hand, cashes in the Money in the Bank against Edge. Finally, thank the Lord, after 2 years of Edge using the Money in the Bank to finesse himself for some world titles, after all the destruction and tragedies he committed, he finally got a taste of his own medicine, and CM Punk became the World Heavyweight Champion for the first time in his career. Before the cash-in, I remember just being so depressed when it came to Edge and SmackDown because I really thought this was going to be the summer of Edge. At this point, he had beat Taker, he banished him, he beat Batista, he had the GM on his... He was unstoppable. But the most unlikely person, CM Punk, held it down, became champion for the first time, and it was just an electric moment, and I was just so happy finally seeing Edge get clapped. And yeah, June came to a close and it was a hectic, crazy month. 2 pay-per-views, a draft, awesome matches and moments. Triple H and the WWE title was going to SmackDown. CM Punk was a world champion on Raw. Cena and Batista were now on the same show. Wait, what? HBK and Jericho were blowing up. And oh, did I mention that Mr. McMahon was giving out money on Monday Night Raw? Wait, what? Oh, and he almost died again? Meanwhile, Edge also proposed to Vickie to get married. By the end of the month, trust me, it was impossible to not be invested in the product. In July of 2008, after being together for over 8 months, Vickie Guerrero and Edge were gonna get married. The most disgusting...
Whenever I reacted to Prime Edge, if you haven't watched that video, go watch it. But anyway, like, the number one memory, I mean, there's a lot of memories of Edge that I remember, but the number one memory that I remember, it wasn't the live sex celebration. It was this. It's when he married Vickie Guerrero and Triple H came out and ruined their wedding. That was tea. That was great TV back then.
A couple of them all, the most just vomit-inducing romance we'd ever seen was taking the next step. That evil piece of shit Edge was gonna marry the general manager of SmackDown, and nobody was gonna be safe after that, especially Little Pav. And the July 18th SmackDown was promoted as the Edge and Vickie wedding, and that was the theme of the entire show. I remember even the TV guide description for the show was Edge and Vickie Guerrero get married. Like, yo, I was dreading this episode. I didn't want to watch this. I was praying and hoping that something would happen, that the marriage would get canceled, the ceremony would get canceled. The last time we had a wedding on SmackDown in 2007, Teddy Long had a heart attack. I'm not gonna say it, but I think you guys know what 9-year-old Pav was hoping for. And actually, the episode of SmackDown wasn't the actual wedding. It was a wedding reception party. So for 2 hours, it was just straight disgusting videos and just a celebration of Edge and Vickie. It was too much. And like I said, it was the theme of the entire show. So like the whole show, Edge and Vickie and his boys are out there for the whole night, wilding out, having fun, having a great time. The most random matches are taking place, and the lighting's all purple, and they're just watching the whole time, smiling. They're involved in every segment. It was genuinely the worst night of my life. And I remember watching with my mom, and she was laughing the whole time. She was having a great time. She was sports entertained, laughing at my misery, but also just at how ridiculous everything was. And I was just all like, I don't want to watch this. But thankfully, with only 5 minutes left before the show went off the air, out came Triple H. And the biggest terrorist in the WWE from 2002 to 2005 came out to save us from the real terrorist. Triple H showed the world a recording of Edge cheating on Vickie with a wedding planner, leading to...
But that was not just some wedding planner. It was Alicia Fox before she became Alicia Fox. Put some respect on her name, please.
And the wedding getting canceled. I literally jumped out of my seat when this went down. I went crazy. My mom was laughing. She was invested, and she was like a whatever wrestling fan, right? She wasn't a fan. She just watched every now and then with me, but even she was into this. She was laughing. She was like watching this shit like it was an Indian drama, and honestly, it was so dramatic. It basically was an Indian drama or like a telenovela. Vickie snaps. She's screaming. Her screams are so loud it probably broke a glass in my house. Edge was getting clapped, and Edge's downfall continued, and it was just such a great night. I used to pray for times like this, literally, but overall, kayfabe aside, such a fun night, such an iconic memory for my childhood, watching with my mom, laughing, just all the ridiculousness of it, a great moment. And as you know, after this, we got the Great American Bash, where we got Cena and JBL in a parking lot match. We got Jericho and HBK finally one-on-one, where Jericho...
They used to do all kinds of matches back then, a damn parking lot match, a damn stretcher match, what? They used to come up with all kinds of ideas, but hey, it was creative. It was creative, I'll tell you that.
Ended up committing very, very violent war crimes on Shawn Michaels. After months of build, after everything, Jericho finally got his hands on HBK, who came into the match all broken because of the Jeritron attack. You know, he wasn't exactly the same after that, and Jericho just went off. So much so that the commentary and Shawn's selling had me convinced that he was really going to lose his eye for real this time. I really thought after this that HBK was going to be blind. During this era, I was actually lucky enough to watch 3 pay-per-views in the summer with my friends for free. I got to watch One Night Stand, Night of Champions, and the Great American Bash for free because my neighbor actually had an illegal satellite that gave him free pay-per-view. So for the Bash, we were all at his house watching this, and we were just disgusted as little kids. We were so shook at what we were watching, and at one point, one of my friends made a little joke, like, "Oh, I see his eye, it fell out, oh my god." The match was so disturbing that the rest of us actually believed for him for a second that his eye probably did fall out. It was wild because usually when wrestlers bled, from my memory, they still fought back, they still hulked up a little bit or whatever. No, not here. Shawn was out like a light. Jericho beat HBK so bad at the Bash 08, you would have thought the feud was over. That's how dominating it was. And fun fact, this match ended up being the match that led to blood being banned in the WWE for 16 years. With Edge spearing his former fiance, another solid pay-per-view, another solid month, life was just good as a wrestling fan. And it was all leading and it was all heading to August. It was all heading to SummerSlam 2008, which was supposed to be the biggest blockbuster of the summer. SummerSlam has always been the summer show. It's always been the second biggest show of the year and sometimes even better than the biggest one. And the WWE, which was on fire in 08 at this point, really wanted SummerSlam to be special. They really wanted the show to be big again, especially after how mid the show was the year before. Please ignore them putting Khali in another title match. My brothers, I don't think words can describe how massive this felt back in the day. Looking back at it, sure, it was thrown together, it was a quick feud, whatever, but John Cena versus Batista actually happening was massive. The two faces of the generation, the two faces of the company, the two guys who got cemented on the exact same night, the two faces of SVR 06 clashing in their primes as well, it was special. Tuning in every week was so fun just to see what the hell was gonna happen next. You had to choose a side, and this was beef, this was war. And from them winning the tag team titles together on Raw to still beefing every week, it was such a big time match and it was a perfect year for it, and we were getting it at SummerSlam 2008. By mid-August, Jericho had become a full-blown demon. He had sidelined HBK, who after the Bash never really showed up on Raw.
What year was it when it was the Royal Rumble and Batista and John Cena, they both got eliminated basically at the same time? Vince McMahon came in the ring and he tore his quad or something. He was sitting down, giving orders.
And every week Jericho would just be talking all this shit. HBK was legit missing after the Bash, and the rumors that he had lost an eye among me and my friends were rampant. And it was announced at SummerSlam that Shawn Michaels was coming back, but not to wrestle, but he was coming back and making an announcement, a very important personal announcement. And after what happened at the Bash, hell yeah, I thought he was retiring. Cena versus Batista, Shawn Michaels retiring, Jeff Hardy in a US title match. That alone made SummerSlam 08 feel special enough for me, a must watch for me personally. And at that point, I didn't even know the main event yet. Remember how in the beginning of the video I talked about how Edge beat Taker in that TLC match and banished him from SmackDown and how it broke my heart? Well, it was time for Taker to get his lick back, and it was time for me to get my lick back. Edge losing the world title wasn't enough for me. Nah. Him getting his, relationship broken, no, that wasn't enough for me. I needed him compromised to a permanent end, and boy, was I getting it. After Edge and Vickie broke up, Edge lost his damn mind. He went full crazy, he snapped, he was crashing out like Roman Reigns stands after WrestleMania 40, and Vickie had enough, and she announced that she was bringing back The Undertaker and that Edge was gonna pay for all of his sins, and he was back at SummerSlam 2008. That alone was awesome, that was great, fantastic, but it got even better because she announced that it was gonna be a Hell in a Cell match. 2 months after the heartbreak of One Night Stand, the dead man was back, and it was gonna be a Hell in a Cell match. In a time where Hell in a Cell matches were still special before they were ruined and just held to be held, this was a special time. This feud deserved it, and Hell in a Cell, it was a pay-per-view seller. You bought a pay-per-view, you wanted to watch one because there was a Hell in a Cell match on it, and Edge was finally gonna pay for his sins. I remember the night of SummerSlam 08 vividly. This night was special. See, by this show, my neighbor's illegal satellite was actually blocked, so the run of free pay-per-views was over, so we had to pay for this show. And of course, I had the one mom in the neighborhood who would actually pay for fake wrestling every now and then, Thankfully, she did, because not only did Cena and Batista tear the house down in a match that all of us kids used to dream about, not only did Chris Jericho end up crashing Shawn Michaels' retirement announcement and ended up punching his wife, but The Undertaker killed Edge. Edge and Taker killing each other, and it ends with Taker grabbing Edge on top of a ladder, chokeslamming him straight to hell, and then somehow using his superpowers to set him on fire like it's Road to WrestleMania. This was the greatest night of my life. SummerSlam 2008 was generational. Sure, there were some stinkers on there. Sure, we got Khali versus Triple H, but the highs were so damn high, and the memories that I have of this show are so special. They mean so much to me. It was a great night in every way. When you look back in time at these summer periods, usually SummerSlam used to mean that it was the end of the summer, right? It was usually the end of the hype period, the end of the period where the WWE went crazy, they hyped up SummerSlam for months and they built towards it. SummerSlam would come, it would end, and after that, it was like, all right, time to relax, time to calm down. Things usually became more chill after that, right? Usually, SummerSlam was the finale of the summer WWE period. But what made 2008 really fun though was, that wasn't the case in 2008. And remember, technically, summer doesn't end until mid-September. 2 days after my 10th birthday, it was Unforgiven 2008, the last pay-per-view of the summer of 2008. And I think we all remember why this night was special. Not only did we get the first ever championship scramble matches, and I'm pretty sure the last ever championship scramble matches, we also got the Chris Jericho Masterclass. Unforgiven 2008 was a night where Shawn Michaels finally got his hands on Chris Jericho, and after all these months of everything that happened, after his wife getting punched, after his eye almost falling out, the Jeritron 5000, everything, Shawn Michaels was back with a vengeance, and he got his hands on Chris Jericho in an unsanctioned match. And for 25 minutes in a crazy hot match, in a really heated, intense, violent match, they went off. After months of being a weasel, after all the bad things Chris Jericho did, Shawn Michaels finally got his revenge on Chris Jericho. After the months of his views, and he left Jericho completely destroyed, so bad that the referees had to come up and stop the match. How do you stop an unsanctioned match? I don't know, but I guess it has to end eventually, right? Shawn Michaels pulled up, beat the hell out of Chris Jericho, and left. And it was super satisfying. It was great to see. It was a great moment, great match, everything. And at this point, you're like, all right, damn, the storyline is over. Okay, great. Shawn Michaels got his revenge. All right, cool. It wasn't. See, on the same night, CM Punk, who was the world champion, who was supposed to defend his title in the main event scramble match, got taken out by Legacy. He got punched by Randy Orton, leading him to not be cleared for the main event. So in the main event, it was time for the championship scramble match, right? 5 men go at it in a match with a 20-minute time limit, right? 2 men start the match every 5 minutes.
Bring back Unforgiven. The pay-per-view titles back then used to be cool as hell. Unforgiven. Bad blood, vengeance. But they had like great balls of fire. What the hell was that?
And it's a new wrestler comes out. There can be as many pinfalls as you could possibly imagine, whatever. It keeps going. Pinfalls don't stop the match. The only thing that stops the match is the 20-minute time limit. And whoever is the last person to get a pinfall in the match wins the championship. Kind of confusing all over the place, but honestly, I kind of like the match type. I thought it was really cool and really fascinating. So the match is going on. Pinfalls are happening. At one point, Kane's the champion, then Batista becomes the champion, and Batista just trying to hold on until the 20 minutes are over so he can become champion. And everyone's like, damn, I wonder who the 5th person's gonna be. Out comes the man who ruled the summer of 2008, the man who just had his ass beat an hour ago, Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho pulls up an hour after this was happening to him, pulls up to the main event, and he weaseled his way into becoming world heavyweight champion. And just like that, the worst night of Chris Jericho's wrestling career ends up being the best. And Unforgiven ends with the summer of 2008 ends with Chris Jericho almost dying, yet on the same night becoming a world champion. This was a wild twist. I did not see this coming at all, and it was such a good one. I felt bad for Punk for getting written off like that, but the way they had, Jericho have this done to him, have him just get destroyed, have HBK get his revenge and his lick back, and have HBK thinking he won the war, he did it. Chris Jericho finds a way and weasels his way into becoming a world heavyweight champion. Just, in my opinion, a fascinating story, a great ending to a show, a great twist that took place at the show, just great. And as the company goes into the fall, it all leads to Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho ending their rivalry for real with a world title on the line in a classic ladder match. But that was the fall. We were here to talk about the summer.
Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. What do y'all remember from the summer of 2008? Like, I don't remember anything, but the only thing I remember from this was the Vickie Guerrero Edge Undertaker debacle. If you have any other video recommendations, please leave them down below. If you're not following my socials, my TikTok and my Instagram are down below. Duh. And tune in for the next one. Bye.